Let me start off by being honest, I'm not a huge Playboi Carti fan. I listened to his new album and it was a lot to take in, let's say. But as a producer, I think it's super important to learn as many genres as you can and try to take those techniques and apply it to your own beat making. So today I'm going to show you how to make a Carti type beat step by step from scratch, showing you as many techniques as I can. We're going to cover melodies, bounce, sound selection, FX, processing. Whether you're a Carti fan or not, I guarantee you'll get some tips from this that you can apply to your own beats. Let's dive straight into it. Okay, we're going to start off at 145 beats per minute, and I've got the acapella here for good credit, the track featuring Kendrick Lamar. It helps to have an acapella just to make sure that when you're making the beat, you're not going too crazy and forgetting about the artist that's going to be on top of it.
Moving them bodies, sins on my body.
Now, in terms of VSTs to use, we're going to start off with Omnisphere. You could really use pretty much anything for this. Serum, Vital, Analog Lab, Massive. They've all got the type of sounds that you need, and plus we're going to be processing them a ton anyway, so you can start off with a dry sound and really process it if you need to. So I'm just going to start off by looking for a weird synthy sound that we can just start creating something catchy with. Now I'm going to draw in a melody. Usually I would play in with a MIDI keyboard, but I feel with these sort of beats, you don't want to be too melodic. So it's sort of better to draw stuff in. We're going to work in the Phrygian scale in C sharp. This is really good for those dark, evil beats I find. You can see the scale here in the purple notes. Let's just find something that we can start grooving to. So you can see those two notes next to each other. Just really like off-putting as a sound, which is sort of what you want to go for, just stuff that doesn't really sound, you know, normal, melodic and organic. So that's the foundation, a really basic loop of course, but we can just start layering sounds on top. But we'll process this a little bit first, just to give us more of a rhythm to it. We'll throw in another Omnisphere now and try to find another sound. That's pretty cool. Really computerized and glitchy. And we'll just record this in. We're using the same two notes from the melody. So we're just mixing as we go along just to make sure everything has its own space, because this is going to get really messy really quick with all the synth sounds. Next up for the melody, we're going to throw in an electric guitar. We hear a lot of this in the album and it's really good when you distort it and just use it like really electrically. Not picked up this guitar in quite a while. Now let's add in an 808 so we can just start getting an idea of how it will sound with other elements, and then we can start adjusting the melody as needed. So once you add in the 808 bounce, it all starts to come together pretty easily. For the 808, I'm just using this Ellis Lost One. He's got some really good trap sounds for this style of beat, so definitely check that out too. And now let's just start drawing in the drums to complement the 808 and the rest of the melody. So you can hear the placement on that last snare is just different to what you'd expect. That's a very typical like Cardo bounce, and you're going to hear that a lot on the Carti album. So just messing around with snare placement in general is a good shout to get some like offbeat rhythms going. And then you just copy it like that. And then we can start randomizing the velocity. draw in some rolls. Actually, I like it like that. Pretty simple. So we'll just copy over that pattern. For the kick, we'll just actually copy over the 808 pattern just to make it a lot easier, and then just move all the notes down. So it just sounds really clean when you have the kick and the 808 playing the same pattern. Just make sure that you do some sort of side chaining, of course. So in this case, 808, I'll just use kick start. It's like the easiest way to do a side chain, I think. So we just side chain, choose kick, and then audio. So you can hear in terms of the melody, while we were doing those drums, I muted some of the parts of it and it just sounded a lot cleaner instantly. So now to make this melody sound better, we're just gonna go and like reconfigure what we're doing basically. Let's start off with this initial Omnisphere patch and see if we can do something better. So you see, just carving out the frequencies and making sure everything has its own space has made a huge difference to just how cohesive it all sounds. Now on the melody group, I'm just going to process it with a bit of OTT. We need to just fix this up a bit and get some new melodies going. I think even again, this sound can still be fixed. It's just the actual sound itself needs to be better. So let's just put a bit more effort into finding a good, cleaner sound perhaps. I think that layer can be left alone. This layer seems to be the star of the show melody-wise so far. And now this pedal thing, we can delete that because it's just not really fitting together. And now let's just process this in a way just to make it like trippier. Okay, the melody's starting to sound a lot better. We can start trying to add more layers to it. So put another MIDI layer, and this time we want to try maybe a different synth. And then we can just do a bit of automation and let that allow it to come in and out, whether you're just automating something like the gain with this or just even the EQ and filtering it out.
For hers and his, that bitch on point like ASAP really. I'm talking about The numbers is nothing, the money is nothing. I really been him, I promise. Say Kenny been heavy out west, and I carry the weight, nigga. I'm Luka Doncic. Conspiracy theories is given, but I must admit it, you got the wrong person. They bundling names, shit quaint like it.
Now I want to add some like more effects and stuff, and for that I tend to keep it really simple and rely on a couple of sounds which just always work in a lot of different genres. First thing is going to be a riser. So just instantly that build up just always works really well. And then for the drop or like the impact sound, pretty much anything will work as long as it has like an impact to it. Now let's go back into the drums and add a few more layers. We've obviously got a kick, a snare and a hat, but we can add more sounds just to fill that out a bit and give us more options with the arrangement. What I like to do when I'm planning to do like a lot of Percs sounds is throw in a drum rack. Oh, and before I forget, there's one drum sound that you sort of need in these beats, and that's like a crazy snare roll. You can just draw this in manually with a snare sound, or a lot of packs these days have like good snare rolls. Perfect. So now we'll go back to the drum rack. We've got all these Percs sounds loaded up that we can just literally drop them in. And there you go, a really easy way just to get some Percs sounds, and all you got to do is in the arrangement just copy it over, and then for different bits you can decide which bits work. Now when it comes to the mixing, you want to have everything hitting hard, so the main thing is with your drums doing what you need to do. I just like to use OTT, play around with the depth until I've got it really smacking. You can see the kick I always have in mono, and all the tracks I make sure that the EQ is taking out the low end, and only the kick and the 808 gets to keep the low end. It belongs to them essentially. Then at this point, it's just a case of arranging it out. And then once you arrange it and have got everything in place, I'm pretty sure you'll figure out like if you need to drop in more melodies, or, you know, some melodies aren't working with the overall scheme of things. But again, that's why it's really useful to use an acapella when you're doing this, because the arrangement becomes easier, the entire composition becomes easier, the sound selection becomes easier. So it's really useful just to build everything around an acapella, especially when you're doing beats which can have a lot going on like these Carti ones do.
I'm sad it gets flooded, but way over budget, I lose it on tour. I would've said fuck you too, but you knew that the list was full. Having it my way like Usher, dawg. Red, blue, diamond like Gusher, dawg. Up score on you niggas like Rucker, dawg. I'm sore cause I got it off the muscle, dawg.
Streets ready for this shit right here.
Eliante go big, white gold link fall on the belly. The emerald cuff for hers and his. That bitch on point like ASAP Rally. I'm talking about the numbers is nothing, the money is nothing. I really been him, I promise. Say Kenny been heavy out west, and I carry the weight, nigga. I'm Luka Doncic. Conspiracy theories is given, but I must admit it, you got the wrong person. They bundling man, Chicago slang. Which one of you niggas a merchant?
If you learned something new in this video, make sure to drop a like and let me know in the comments what you think of the Carti album and his sound in general. And if you want to see me make something more cinematic, check out the weekend tutorial I did here.
Moving them baddest, moving them baddest, moving them baddest.